Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It is Friday morning. It's going to be a hot one. It's not even 8 AM yet and it's hot. But there's a really nice breeze. So if you hear some wind noise, that's what it is. I've got the fancy pants and lapel mic to help me out here. Hopefully it records the whole video. Sometimes it doesn't. But this is an important one, so I'm going to get straight into it. In yesterday's video, I said that in the next couple of days, I'm going to be doing video, or maybe two videos, about what Jodisue Brown called the perfect storm. Jodisue Brown is the neighbour, if you recall, who lived at the time of Summer's disappearance at 125 Ben Hill Road on the opposing hill at the beginning of the Ben Hill Holler. She's the one who alleges that she saw a flash of a red vehicle going up the driveway, Candace's driveway. She's the one who alleges that she heard the scream between 4:30 and 4:42. She's the one who alleges was one of the first searchers on scene. She went all round the creek. She said she did that to hide the scent from the search dogs, but yet a search dog stopped at her feet. That lady. And she was in a long-term relationship with her monster, as she called him, Andy Bernard. And his family feature a lot in this video. Her son, 19-year-old Damien Bernard, is Andy Bernard's son as well. They're no longer together, and Jodisue no longer lives on that property. She called Summer's disappearance the perfect storm, and yeah, that's one thing she's right about, so we've got to discuss it. This is an important video, so please listen carefully, share it out, do all the things to help this video get up there in the algorithm, because people need to listen to it. It's the product of several months of research, and yep, I've talked about the perfect storm before. I've talked about the importance of genealogy in the Beech Creek area before, lots of times before. Other creators have as well. But it is pleasing to know that after a year, those of us talking about genealogy are no longer considered a bit wacky, a bit out there. This can't possibly be a factor in Summer's disappearance. Well, bear with me. The genealogy is important because the families that live there on Beech Creek are pretty much all related. Yep, there's some new unrelated people who've moved into the area, buying plots of land. Jodisue talked about the anguish she feels about, the heirs, the greedy heirs of the old ancestral people who settled there in Beech Creek so many moons ago. Some of them are selling off plots of land to outsiders, to out-of-staters. Listen to what Jodisue says about this problem, because this is the very beginning of the perfect storm. This is the 2.2 acres that Jackie Dobbs bought. The deal was settled the beginning of June, just 2 weeks before Summer disappeared. And Jodisue was not happy because she wanted that 2.2 acres, but her offer wasn't accepted. So she was gunning for anybody who bought that land. She says it's in her front yard. Well, okay, let's listen.
Anyway, turns out this piece we thought had been folded back in like it was supposed to be was not. And, greedy little ass heirs think that everybody's forgot what the fuck was supposed to happen. So that's where we're at, and whatever. Don't matter at this point. What I have discovered, within a few hours of this shit starting, we put in bed and went home. And got into the property documents and surveys and all that stuff from 200 years ago, leading up to. So, and for those of you who are unaware, his family, in particular, owned most of Beech Creek. And I don't mean that in like a, oh, they own a big piece, or, I mean, his family owned most of it. So if the surveys have been done on any of that property, even though it's changed hands, by this point, chances are our family has your survey maps, because as it transferred between family, and here's the thing, even though all those tracts are split up and this and the other, and there's different names associated for most of them, all of them are still related. They're all kin down there, for the most part. So, turns out we go home after we put in that bid 17 minutes before close, you know, and I'm not going to mention names, but the bitch said that she would take our bid. That obviously did not happen. Didn't expect it to, but, you know, for what we knew was going to come after, it was going to be a necessary step if things went further than that, which I'm sure they're going to.
Those of you who've been paying attention will know that clip very well. More and more people are latching on to the fact that Jodisue Brown, who inserted herself hour one of day one into this case, might know a whole lot more than she's letting on. Is she involved in Summer's disappearance? I don't know. Up until recently, I believed Jodisue's scream. I believed Jodisue's testimony of Candice possibly leaving the hill twice. But Jodisue is the centre of everything. And it just makes me wonder whether she's covered up all this time, whether she's covered up for family members. If she's not directly involved, that she's covering up for some of them. And this is where genealogy really becomes important. So when I first started talking about this a few months ago, it was in relation to Don Wells' family and how Don Wells came to own 110 Ben Hill Road. Lots of you will know how he came to own it by now, but a quick recap for those who don't know. It's his stepfather, William Gold, who owned that property. He married Don Wells' mother. It was her third husband. And when William died in 2007, Karen, Don's mother, inherited those 11 acres that the Wells now own, or Don now owns. William Gold is a relative. He's actually a third cousin of Ben Hill. Ben Hill shot himself in the throat, ended his own life, but he's the one that gave his name to Ben Hill Road. They're all related. Now, as I said, there are some neighbours who are not, because newer people have come in, much to Jodisue's disdain. Some of them have nothing to do with this situation whatsoever. They're nothing to do with the genealogy, and even those who are related, the vast majority of them probably don't know the half of what's going on. Just because you're related to some, let's say, troubling people, or your ancestors own some land over there, doesn't mean you're involved. The vast majority of people living on Beech Creek are just like you and me, right? We're just normal people. But it's those certain people who, through blood and marriage ties, have been able to control that area, have been able to police that area, you know, amongst themselves. They don't like outside intervention. They don't like the law being involved. They'll cover up for each other. But with connectedness between cousins, there's often feuds, the type of feuds that can cause wars to occur. But those closeness of the ties create the context, create the capacity for a perfect storm, not only to occur, but to be successful in taking a little girl out of there. And a year later, there's absolutely no information on what could have happened to her. The press conference by the TBI and Sheriff Ronnie Lawson on the 15th of June said it all. Again, they do not know what happened to Summer. And there is no theory that seems more likely than any other. Get up, she always rolls there. Get up. But the context, Beech Creek, people who know something have covered up for each other, and it creates the capacity, it creates the environment for a perfect storm to occur. Now, I've got information that links the dodgy people that we've talked about over the last year, links them all together by close blood ties. So William Goad and Mary Goad, his sister, who died this week, so rest in peace, Mary. We've talked about Mary Goad's daughter, who is the long-term girlfriend of Don Sherfy Sr., father of Don Sherfy Jr., who's not convicted yet, but charged with some worrying charges, over 1,000 images of child P that he's been distributing. But there's other people in that area who have the same charges, who have been convicted. And these names that have been talked about, because they're there on Tennessee's RSO registry, they're all related. And they're closely related, more closely related than William and Mary Goad and Ben Hill. Don has got such a dodgy background, and who knows, Don might know a whole lot more of what's going on. He might be involved in what's going on. Or perhaps he's one that's fallen foul of these cousins for whatever reason. Perhaps he knew that his family were under threat. Perhaps he's too scared to say that his family were under threat. You know, sometimes I get the impression that Don is speaking to certain people when he speaks to the media. Listen to this clip. And this has worried me. This has worried me for the longest time, why Don would have said this.
I just wish there was a way that neighbors could search neighbors' houses, and then if they're not willing, you know, get a search warrant or something. But there's just no way you can search every single house, you know, in the eastern United States or whatever. But I wish there was a way.
And that's just one example of how he sometimes appears to be talking to people, certain people.
If there's any way, if you can find it in your heart, to please release her somehow. I don't know how you might do that. I mean, 'cause you're probably scared of going to prison for the rest of your life and everything else, I'm sure. But please find it in your heart, have mercy, and find a way of letting her go, and where we can get her back. And just please have mercy on her, and, you know, and us. And her brothers.
You know, we know he's got dodgy connections, but what if he's one of the guys who's fallen foul of these people? And him saying that, you know, to Candice, you've got to watch Summer, you've got to look after Summer. Maybe you knew that she would be a target. Maybe that's why, let's think about this, in 2020, a year before Summer disappeared, Don Wells wanted to move his whole family to Utah. And he spent, 4 months, 5 months there in Utah, took the eldest boy with him and got a job and was working out there in Utah. Candice even put the property up for sale. Only on Facebook, but still. Did Jodisue want that property? Yeah, probably. She doesn't like having neighbours, does she? What degree is Don considered an outsider? What degree is Don and his family disposable? To what degree could they victimise Don and his family? All open questions, but why did Don want to move? After years, the whole family have grown up there. You know, the eldest boy was born in Arkansas, but they moved when he was tiny. And the other kids, the other 3 kids, including Summer, were born there in Tennessee. Why, after so many years, did he want to move back to Utah? Well, maybe he thought there was better opportunities there for his kids. Maybe it's because you wanted to go straight, or maybe it's because you're scared of the things that you knew were going on Beech Creek. These people, these RSOs that we all talk about, they're all related. And I can now show you how Randy Hass and Frank Light are close relatives of Andy Bernard. This is on ancestry.com. I have a subscription there, so I'm showing you the tree that I've created. I've got hundreds of connections in there now, hundreds of them. Most of these records, actually, they are available in the public domain. US public records, certain marriage records, there's publicly available information. It's not doxing because it's out there. Anybody could pick up this stuff. You know, you could do the 14-day free trial on Ancestry and find all this stuff. Or you could hunt through public records and find all this stuff. Okay, so where to start? Well, I can show you that Frank Light is a second cousin, once removed, of Polly Bernard, Andy Bernard's mother. So quite closely related. Are these cousins and cousins once removed and cousins twice removed? It all confuses me. So if I've got the second cousin twice removed wrong, well, just say they're closely related. Okay, they're closely related. That final puzzle piece, thank you to the person in my Facebook group who found this documentation, because I've been trying to work out how Frank Light fits into this story. But because I didn't know his parents' names, it's hard to link back to the ancestors. You know, you often have to go one generation up, or even two generations up in some cases, to find all those ancestral links. So we've got Frank Light's mother, who's no longer with us, and her obituary. And her husband is someone called Grady Light. He's a very, very old man now. I think he's still alive. He had lots of children, including Frank Light. So, okay, who's Grady Light? Fun fact on Grady Light. He fell foul of the law many years back for moonshining. I just thought that was an interesting fun fact. You know, the moonshiners, they knew how to traffic their product. They knew how to sell their product. As I've said for many a moon now, those corridors that used to be used to sell moonshine can also be used to sell illicit substances. And in the most terrible, the most immoral people, to traffic humans. We know that trafficking is a problem in East Tennessee. Was summer trafficked? No idea. Don't know. It's a theory that's on the table for me. I'm just showing you information here, right? It's up to you what you do with that information. So, Grady Light's dad, Frank Light's grandfather, is someone called Bird Light. Bird Light is the brother of this person. And this person then shows us the links between Andy Bernard, Polly Bernard, and Fred Hill. They're all related. Randy Hass isn't related by blood, as far as I can work out. But his wife is. His wife is a cousin of Polly. Oh dear. What a tangled web we weave when we first practice to deceive. We know that Randy Hass was using the internet, Polly Bernard's property, when he's not meant to be using the internet at all, because he's an RSO who's done child P things. Polly is central to this story. Does it mean she's involved? No, not at all. She's the one whose ancestors owned all of that land. She's one of the, I don't know, pivotal figures. Does it mean she knows what the hell her relatives are getting up to? No, it doesn't. It doesn't mean that at all. This means that the connections come through her. All of these people related to each other, know each other. Jodisue Brown has defended Frank Light. Jodisue Brown knows Randy Hass. Does it mean Jodisue is involved in anything that they're getting up to? No, it doesn't. But it gives you the context for the perfect storm. And if something did happen, someone did something to Summer, or someone stole Summer, those people ain't going to talk. And people who know people and know that these people, some of these people are potentially dangerous, you're not going to want to get involved, are you? Even when it's regarding the disappearance of a little girl, you're still not going to want to get involved, are you? Now, at the vigils on June 15th, you know, Jodisue has been kicking up a fuss about it, but lots of the locals were supportive of the vigils. It's Jodisue Brown, who really does not want people poking their nose in to Beech Creek's business. It's Jodisue Brown kicking up the fuss about Jackie Dobbs, kicking up the fuss, you know, and trying to, in those early days, implicate him as the weirdo. Went searching for him. You know, when they were searching for Summer. Oh no, when we were searching for this weirdo. That's what she said.
Oh, and you won't believe this. While we're searching for Summer, we go down to the other property. Well, actually, not before, when the weirdo was on our property that bought that piece in the yard that's the crust of the bank, and then was arguing against his own survey that he bought a crust of a bank and a vertical cliff, but nobody provided him with that survey. He was sitting on our property, cut through our lines and stuff, whatever, and he parked himself right in the middle of the first two no trespassing signs, and it had already been told, not, you know, to move, whatever. Anyway, the cops removed him that night. So we were so worried about this guy and how he came off that we went looking that night all the way into Bayless and then every holler in Beech Creek, making sure he wasn't parked in there. And look, this guy hit me so weird. I was like, you know,
It's what she said in one of her lives straight after Summer's disappearance. One of her first lives after Summer's disappearance. That's what she said. It's not locals. Just the average Joe and Joanne blogs locals. It's nothing to do with them. They want Summer found. They support the vigils. The peaceful, beautiful honouring of Summer that some locals and YouTubers did. But Jodisue Brown hated it. Why? You know, she says that she's been terrorised and harassed and stalked. Where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? Fred Hill, cousin once removed of Andy Bernard, relative of Frank Light. When Ziggy went to Tennessee in January and she had 2 conversations with Fred Hill, and a lot of what he said was absolute nonsense. The bombs, prostitution ring. Does that mean we have to discount all of it? See, why would a cousin of these people speak out? Is it because he's defending them and trying to set YouTubers up by putting out a lot of false information? Or is there certain things in there that are important? Such as Andy Bernard not being at work all day, as Jodisue said. You know, Jodisue said he was on camera the whole day. And she said be having text with him the whole day. But then in another video, she said he wasn't. Or at least she implied that he wasn't.
Like I've told y'all long before, that earring was dropped on purpose. That's why they shook the floorboard and hit him in a meltdown. And I guarantee you, honestly, when Summer disappeared, that's the reason he got so fucking crazy. And the more I think about it the past few days, it's probably because when the Fed showed up, especially at work, he'd been lying to me because that day she disappeared, he was supposed to be running late, right? Working over. Guarantee he wasn't. So he knew tick, tick, tick. Time was coming. Cops knew he wasn't, whatever. And he was next door and truth coming. I mean, all kinds of things precipitated this shit, but I promise you for months. And what's weird is, like, he was abusing me that psychotically during the day, but then he was even acting weird for me. Like, at night, for those last few nights, it was, will you hold me? In a tone I'd never really heard before. I want me to hold him after fucking doing me that way every day. In a weird, like, baby tone. Like, man, this ain't done. If his fucking system thinks this is done, you let me know. I've been telling you. I've been fucking telling you.
Fred Hill swears down 100% that he saw Andy on Ben Hill Road between 3 and 3:30.
To see like Indians was in there. Because I was in 165 and 67 days. I had triple cars down there along the driveway. Well, I was parked in the road that same day because I hauled 67 out that day. And Andy come in about 3 or between 3 and 3:30 somewhere around there. And I had to pull out the road, let him by. But see, that truck, I had to pull out the road up here when I loaded one, when that truck went in. And then it come back out and it said up there, that where the light pole is in the road. Instead of coming on down here and just, I pulled over there and stuff, and he just kept sitting. So I backed up and went down here and turned at this steep curve and went on down to 167 to load that other vehicle. And that truck didn't come out for a long time. I wasn't thinking about it at the time, you see. But Andy, he come in that little silver car.
So it's around the time that Candice and Grandma and Summer would have got home. They'd have got home around 3:20. So why was Andy there? Was he waiting for something? Why did Fred Hill say that Jodisue sat down the bottom of the Wells Drive, down the bottom there on Ben Hill Road for 3 days? And then Andy disappeared for a while, made himself scarce for a while. Why?
The third day after, like I was talking about, they stood down there for 3 days. Well, on the fourth day, all of a sudden, when he don't leave from just the road, he leaves the whole area. He goes in lots of places.
Does it mean Andy's involved in Summer's disappearance? No, not at all. It's just curious. These things are just curious. But why would Andy's cousin say things like that? Is there bad blood between Fred Hill and Andy Bernard? Does Fred Hill feel he needs to speak out? Or is he completely lying to throw everyone off the scent, or just to prank, just to be a prankster? Don't know. Shall we talk about this more tomorrow? Yeah, let's, because this video is getting pretty long now. So let's talk about it more tomorrow. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I've been Michelle, hope you're well. See you in the next video. Stay tuned. I've got a video on Dylan Rounds coming out later over on my other channel, Michelle Walks. Subscribe to Michelle Walks for more content from me across a wide range of cases. Check out the Dylan Rounds playlist that I've got here on this channel. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, guys. What's she looking at? What have you seen? Don't know. I don't have dog powers, so no idea.